All righty, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of the Red, White, Claret, and Blue Show. We are your illustrious hosts. I am Alex Baquero, and this is Chris Pfister Extraordinaire Condit, your American villain voices, as always, serving up the lukewarmest of lukewarm opinions. Please go like, follow, rate, review, subscribe, all the places below our faces. Also, I realize I should add, if you're in an audio medium, these are linked in show notes.
We forget to do that, right?
Yeah, they're on our pod website, but go check out all the places. Go engage with us. We see those followers, those engagement counts, the time spent with the pod go up and up every week, and that really does warm our cold little hearts as North Carolina becomes increasingly hot.
Yes.
Chris, sir, how are you?
I'm living the dream, Alex. There's outside of the result today, which we'll talk about, there's not a lot to complain about right now. Things are good. Family's good. I am hitting the road for a little while tomorrow, which is not my favorite, but we'll make the best of it. Thank you, anyone from work that's listening. Don't ignore that part. Otherwise, I'm doing great. How are you, Alex?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good.
Well, I got to meet your baby.
Oh yeah, that's right. So Chris and I had our quarterly hang that we haven't actually done. We realized for like over almost 2 years, year and a half.
Has it been that long? No. Well, we were at Ole. I dropped it.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You and I did. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Our wives have not gotten together in quite a while because we realized that Katie was not pregnant the last time that Bridget saw her.
That's right.
So it probably about a year, I guess. Give or take. So yeah, we had our hang on Friday afternoon, which was really awesome. Bridget, I think, was the most excited of the four of us because she got to meet Nico, who sleeps, in my opinion, better and better every single night. So feels like and he laughs more and more every day. So you're finally getting a little bit back out of him. He's not just this leech sucking the life out of me every day. Babies.
That'll come back around.
Speaking of things sucking the life out of us day by day, Chris, Aston Villa played this morning. And this game, where to start? Well, Chris, let's start with the lineup, because I have a question for you. With Victor Lindelof coming in for Ezri Konsa, Emi Martinez tweaked his back a little bit, so it was
actually his thigh, I think they said, or calf. I can't remember.
Tweaked a muscle. Back. Yeah, tweaked a muscle. Marco Bizzo in. Luca Dean getting back-to-back starts 3 days apart at left back, which is something that I can't remember the last time we've seen Luca Dean do that. Ross Barkley coming in at the 10. Chris, I got to ask you, when you look at this lineup, is Unai Emery prioritizing the Europa League over the Premier League right now?
Well, I think to an extent, yes, because that's a guaranteed in to Champions League. And I also think perhaps if you want to give him a little bit of credit or grace, he looks around and he sees that 4th and 5th are going to get in, right? And I think he probably realized that Chelsea were probably not beating Manchester City today. And boy, that was true, so I think maybe he's looking around and seeing that, hey, we can take our foot off the gas just a little bit here, because if we're being honest, the play was not great. The result away from home is probably good enough for what we need right now. So like, I don't want necessarily to think of it in that way on the whole, or I guess, the opposite. I don't want to think of it that way in a vacuum. Like, I don't want to I want to look at the game and analyze what Villa did well and did not. But if you take a macro view of it, a point away here is probably good enough for what Villa are going to need to accomplish. And ultimately, if you win the Unai Emery Cup, which is Europa, right? If you win that, Champions League is assured and nothing else really matters except for you make a little bit more money in prize money from the FA. Every place up the table is worth roughly £1 million.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. So I'll just add a couple points on top. Just because Unai Emery prioritized the Europa League over the Premier League today doesn't mean that he's going to have the same calculus next week or the week after or the week after that. This is an answer that can absolutely change on a week by week basis. He's allowed to change his mind based on the results around us and the results that we're getting. At some point, Villa are going to have to rotate. Right now, they are scheduled to play what? If you go rewind to Bologna on Thursday, it's like 4 matches in 10 days, right?
Yep.
And if they advance in the competition, you realize that that's going to happen again. Like this could be a very, very clustered end to the season in terms of the matches that Villa need to play. And so they're going to need to find rotation somewhere. Mm-hmm. We did our prediction of who was going to get Champions League a couple weeks ago. And as much as Unai Emery likes to preach, it's one game at a time, it's one game at a time. I guarantee you that whole staff is doing kind of the same calculation and thinking, hey, we can let off a little bit here. We need to pick up our points here, so on and so forth. And so he probably looked at it the same way we did and say, listen, if we get 2 wins out of the next 4 games in the league, we're probably okay based on how Chelsea is doing. And so today felt like a good time to rotate. And you know what? As bad as the play looked at times today, it was still there for the taking. Like this Villa
100%,
would have won that game. There were plenty of opportunities to do that. So, you know, as annoying as a draw is when if you go full board, do you potentially get all 3 points there? 9 points on Chelsea, do you kind of put it out of reach? Maybe. But ultimately, like I can't really fault him for this because, like I said, we're going to need to rotate at some point. And this felt like a game where you could rotate and still get something out of it, which Villa did.
And I think you brought up a great point. Not only did they get the point out of it, if we're like, let's look at solely positive here for this moment. Not only did they get the point, they had every opportunity to win that game. Defensively, they were under it for a good section of the second half, especially. But in the second half, I think the 2 best chances fell to Aston Villa, and they didn't convert either of them. But the larger point being, they rotated the squad heavily, and at least one choice not because of injury, right? Emi Martinez.
12 minutes. Can we put that to bed? Sorry, real quick to jump across you.
Yeah.
This injury is not about Emi Martinez lacking commitment to Aston Villa. Chris, you texted this to me, so I'm going to give you full credit here. If Emi Martinez wasn't committed to Aston Villa and just randomly didn't want to play against Nottingham Forest, first, why the hell is he pulling out of the Nottingham Forest game of all games throughout the season? He's not going to do it like 15 minutes before the game is due to start.
12 minutes.
He like does this in the lead up to maybe he's like nursing an injury all week and then he kind of backs out. But he's dealt with a myriad of different injury problems throughout this year. It was quite often his back, and I think that has probably cascaded through some other muscles as he's tried to play through that. But like the games that he has missed or pulled out in warmups or all that kind of stuff where the Villarati on Twitter go absolutely insane about how he doesn't care anymore and he's trying to force a move out. Someone please jump in the comments and explain to me the pattern of when and why he misses games, because it seems pretty damn random to me, like someone who is actually dealing with injury problems would have.
And again, if he were going to do that, like if he was like straight out, I'm not going to play, he's not going to wait till 12 minutes before kick and say, man, I felt something, I can't go. Like that's just not, if you believe that, you've never played a sport at any kind of competitive level, because that's not what people do.
If you believe that, you just want to be upset about something.
That's right.
Like, let's call a spade a spade. Like, you are just an angry, upset person who just wants to be upset.
Yeah. I don't question that Martinez has the commitment necessary to the team, because look at all the things he's done for Villa in this season alone. I mean, he's pretty much been back to his normal self, and one of the best goalkeepers in the world this season. But he's trying to force a move out at the same time. Oh, look at you, just
Depends which metric you're looking at. Like, well, that's the interesting thing about him, and I think we'll get to this at the end of the season when we evaluate the squad, how people did, because you're right. There are some metrics. Save percentage, I think, is up there super high.
Yeah.
The is it expected goals that he's prevented is up there, top of the league, top in the world, all that kind of stuff. But you put that up against some other areas where he's top, which is like errors leading directly to a goal, right? We've talked on a lot of episodes about how the saves that he's made has put the ball back into dangerous areas that both have and have not been capitalized upon. So am I going to say that he's back to being the best in the world when, like, Thibaut Courtois is still doing what Thibaut Courtois does out there? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that I'd put him that high, but yes, he has had a very good season.
But anyway,
I just don't want to get hyperbolic with it.
The larger point is there's no questioning his commitment to this team. And also, we don't even know that he wanted to leave in the first place. If you believe some of the word that came out after the fact, it was that he was told that he was going, and that's it, So, like, I think that everybody just needs to take a step back and appreciate the fact that for how many years now? How long has he been here? 6 years? 5 years? It's been
4 or 5.
Yeah. Like, we've had one of the best goalkeepers in the world playing in a Villa shirt, and also, I mean, the man was in tears last year when he thought he was going. So, like, he very clearly cares about the club, and he has been on record saying Aston Villa is a big club for years. So I just don't get why, and it's Twitter and Instagram and other social media. So I understand that you take all that with a grain of salt, but I just don't get why fans can't just appreciate greatness while we're watching it.
I agree. So let's get to the game, because I think we're going to talk about his replacement a decent bit, Marco Bizot.
Yeah, you're right.
So, Chris, my analysis of the first half, I wonder if you agree or not. Villa probably lucky to be ahead. If I kind of look at how the half broke down, Forest were on top for most of the opening, let's say 20 minutes, right? Villa have one good opportunity. They get the goal. They're on top for maybe 5 or 10 minutes after that. And then Nottingham Forest fairly quickly kind of recaptured the forward momentum.
Yep.
Nico Williams scores and even comes close like a couple times after that.
Mm-hmm.
And so you look at the balance of play at the half, both got good opportunities, both scored a goal. But really the better opportunities, the better balance of play was certainly leaning towards Nottingham Forest.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that the goal that Villa got was an own goal, but it was because the ball was put into an extremely dangerous area, right? It wasn't. Well, I guess all own goals mostly come from that, but still, it was out of open play, and it was just the ball came across the face of the goal, and defender, who was it?
It was Murillo. If Murillo doesn't,
so
I think Ollie Watkins is right there to finish.
Right. If he doesn't get a foot to it, Watkins is going to put that home, because it is near impossible not to.
I don't know. Based on the finish that he had in the second half,
I understand, but like you're talking about like 6 inches. Literally get any part of your body on that thing except your hands, and it's going in the net, and it's going to be a goal, right? So I think you're largely correct there. I think that you have to give Forest a lot of credit, because the way they came forward and the way that they attacked, they really did a nice job of keeping the crowd engaged in the game. And I think I think that's always a positive when you're playing at home, especially at a place like that where the crowd is always going to be very good, but the noise was very clearly, I don't know if it put Villa off necessarily, but you could see that it was urging the Forest players on, and you have to give credit to the Nottingham Forest fans for that. But also, it's a direct result of their play and their tactics in not just the first half, but throughout the game. They were going for goal the entire time.
I agree, and they were going for goal in the way that we expected them to, right? A lot of wing play, a lot through Nico Williams and Callum Hudson-Odoi on the left, Omari Hutchinson on the right. Hutchinson had, in my opinion, a really bad day. He seemed to be losing the ball left, right, and center. But they were putting a lot of dangerous balls in, and honestly, if they had a more capable striker than Igor Jesus, I feel like he missed a handful of opportunities. He looked a lot like Ollie Watkins this year in terms of the opportunities that were falling to him that he couldn't quite finish. And
has he scored a goal in the Premier League yet?
He's got 3 this year. I don't know if they're all in the Premier League or not, but he does have technically 3 goals, 3 assists. He has 1. I've definitely seen him score at least 1.
All right, but not many is the point. Not many.
Anyway, not many. And that continued today. I think if they were able to have last year's Chris Wood from the start, they probably have 2 or 3 by halftime the way that they were playing. And Chris, this is the second game now, if you talk about the Nico Williams goal, that clearly the opposition's game plan is to attack down their left or right, cut inside and fire shots, curling in, at the far post, all that kind of stuff. And twice in a row now it's worked, right? We talked about it with Bologna and the goal that they were able to score and how great he looked out there on the left wing. And then you look at Nico Williams as left wing back today and how great he looked. Everything that they got seemed to come through him. Every great opportunity was his fire on net. I am curious. We've been talking about what a great year Matty Cash is having, but it seems like at least over the past couple of weeks, people have identified something there on the right-hand side, which is not what I would expect between Villa's arguable player of the season in Matty Cash and having John McGinn, who is much more defensive of a right wing than let's say Morgan Rogers on the left-hand side, that they've somehow seen, and Ezri Konsa as opposed to Pau Torres, and Amadou Onana is on the right-hand side.
Was not out there today, though, right?
He wasn't, but theoretically, but come on,
I get you.
Yeah, Victor Lindelof to play, right? They game planned for Ezri Konsa.
Yeah.
So you look at who you expect Villa to play. It's John McGinn, Matty Cash, player of the season, Ezri Konsa, and Amadou Onana all on the right-hand side. And 2 games in a row now, teams have said, we're going to hammer that side because we know we can cut inside and fire shots at goal. Do you think that it is simply both of those teams have said, hey, our best player is just on the left side and we're going to keep going to that? Or do you think that they've identified something in Aston Villa? Because it does seem to work.
Well, can it be both is what I would say, right? So,
Maybe.
Nico Williams is a player that you and I have talked about before, and I think I can speak for you when I say we both very much like him as a player going forward. And he is, without a doubt, at least from that position, the best attacking player from the wing side, from the left wing side that Forest can present, right? The question, I think, is if there's some sort of defensive issue between Cash, Onana, and McGinn in that sort of area, because that's who you're looking to defend there. And Cash, he's not the quickest tracking back, right? It's not his biggest strength, and he is going to come forward because he is expected to support an attack quite a bit, probably even more so than Luka Dean. When Dean is on the other side, Villa sort of become unbalanced a little bit in that they move more toward the right because you have the attacking support of Cash. Dean comes forward too and brings in crosses, but you see a lot more coming from the right-hand side with Cash out there. It may be different with Maatsen on the other side because Maatsen is very much a marauding almost wing back, if not a full-on wing back. So I think there's some of that is by design. You're exploiting a weakness, a tactical weakness. And that's something maybe that Villa need to identify and address. I also think that Matty Cash has played a lot of minutes. I mean, a lot of minutes this season.
And coming back from injury, right? Over the past
Yeah.
few weeks. Yeah.
And some of that is because there's no real sub for him in that role. Like Garcia came on late in
at the very end. Yeah.
Yeah. What, with 6 minutes?
The man who half the Villarati think is like a future Champions League winner, Andres Garcia.
Okay. I mean, sure. That's another one where can we not just appreciate that Matty Cash is good while he's here? I don't get it. And I never will.
Yeah.
It's been one of the things we've talked about for 3 seasons now. But so I think both things, to summarize a very long answer, I think both things can be true, that teams are identifying Villa's defensive right as a weakness. And in both cases, most recently, it's been their best way of attacking anyway. It's been their best players that they can bring forward.
Chris, rarely do I say this to you publicly on the pod, but I think that was an incredibly lukewarm way to approach that question. Well done, sir. I'm proud of you.
Thanks. I try. I'm learning.
A couple things that I do want to call out on both goals, actually, both good and bad, I suppose. Good on the Villa goal. This was the best of Pau Torres and why you start him in a game like this. Both segments of the attack, he's the one who's able to spray it out wide right to get the defense to move that way. As it cycles back around, he's the one who ultimately picks the pass to Luka Dean, who slips Morgan Rogers in to get the cross in. There are certain segments of the Villa fan base that will point out how he was bodied by Igor Jesus on a couple different occasions that led to opportunities by Nottingham Forest. And listen, I'm not here to tell you that that's not true.
Yeah.
But what he's able to do offensively in a team that otherwise feels fairly starved for creativity, I don't see how you can't keep that in on a week-to-week basis. And I know I'm preaching to the choir by saying this to you.
Yep. I agree 100%.
On the bad side, double Morgan Rogers giveaways that ultimately lead up to the Nico Williams goal that concede possession, I would say, fairly cheaply. And other than the assist for Villa's goal, by the way, this is one of my hot takes. I think that if you are the one who plays the ball that leads to an own goal, whether it's a shot or a cross or whatever, you should be granted an assist. So I'll say Morgan Rogers gets the assist on the Villa goal. Other than that, I actually thought he was fairly poor today. Gave away possession rather cheaply, didn't love his movement and how he was kind of showing for the ball. And I think rightfully was hooked on something like 77 minutes. Yeah. Probably should have come off earlier, to be honest.
Agree. Yeah. So, I mean, I love Morgan Rogers and we both do, right? But yeah, he did not play well today outside of that ball he put in that ended up being an own goal.
I mean, he's the only English player. Sorry, Chris. He's the only English player. I saw Stan Collymore tweet this. Only English player to reach 100 appearances since the beginning of last season. There are like a handful of guys around the world. And you're talking about like the Vinny Juniors, like the most crucial of crucial players around the world. He's got a lot of minutes in the leg. It is understandable that he would be fatigued.
Yep. He didn't have it today. Like that's all there is to it. And maintaining possession in the midfield is crucial to just about everybody, right? I mean, there's not like we can say that it's specific to Unai Emery's attack, but there is no team on earth that is successful if they turn the ball over with their midfielders. And that happened consistently today, except with John McGinn. John McGinn was a machine today. I was actually super impressed with the way he played on the turn. He had that working. It was like vintage John McGinn, where he angled his body, a specific part of his body, to work the ball to get a turn and work the ball up the pitch. I thought he was great. Rogers just didn't have possession today. He didn't look as dangerous as he normally does. And then I understand what he was doing. If I can jump ahead to the second half, I understand what he was doing when he skied that shot, because he did have to roof it. Like, you had to put it up there.
Yeah, he had to take it off the ground.
Otherwise, it's in the trees and it'll get blocked. No chance. But he missed that by 1,000 miles. I mean, that went into that had to land in like the 50th row, because it was nowhere near the goal. So like that one, he hit it with such power that it just immediately took off. So I thought it wasn't his best day. And I expect him to be back out there on Thursday for the second leg of Europa. And we'll need better play from him.
Honestly, I really hope he's not. You got a 2-goal lead. Like, could you get through it with Emi Buendia playing that role? And then even if you bring Morgan Rogers on for like the last 30 minutes or something, I don't think Unai Emery is going to do it. Morgan Rogers is kind of one of those guys that for Aston Villa, if he's fit, he plays. Don't get me wrong. I'm not expecting him to not play, but I would love it if we benched him to start that.
Who would you put in? Buendia, and then who though? Who plays then centrally?
Give Ross Barkley another 60 minutes, maybe.
I thought that was weird that Barkley played the 10 and Tielemans played behind it.
That or you do Emi Buendia left, Yuri Tielemans in the center, and then you start Douglas Luiz again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We'll talk about that more later, but
we'll get to that a little bit later on. Could have gone for 100 goals. Ollie Watkins instead decided to kick it into Rosie. I'm not going to say Rosed like I've got some Anglophile thing. I understand that's how you guys will say it in the UK. We say Rosie. He kicked it out of the goddamn stadium.
Yeah, same thing as Rogers, really. Like,
by the way, on that though, shout out John McGinn slipping it through to Emi Buendia, and then what a pass by Buendia to find Ollie Watkins, who did not need to roof that one. He just needed to caress it, curl it into the corner a little bit.
That I was going to get to that. It was the same issue. It wasn't. He didn't need to roof it, but he hit it with such power that it just took off like a shot. Right now, I also want to give credit to John McGinn for another one, because there was a cross at the 55 or 58 minute mark, somewhere in there, that McGinn played perfectly, and I think that it took Ross Barkley by surprise, because Barkley didn't really.
I remember that one. He went like a
little to get a toe to it, and all he had to do was get a toe to it, and it was, and it ended up going all the way across the box, and nobody touched it. But it was John McGinn was, for me,
he was incredible today.
Best player,
my man of the match for sure. Other than Nico Williams, I guess. But
for Villa, he was the best player, I think. But Watkins miss after that. Like, I understand you can't hook him right away, but that's probably about where you need to hook him.
You can't wait till 86 minutes,
that's
man.
Right.
Like, what is Tammy supposed to do with
what's 4? He's out there for 4 minutes.
Like, we're gonna need to talk about this again at the end of the season, because I texted this to you, and I really just want to say this and move on, because this isn't the time or forum to talk about it. But you have Daniel Mallon, who is versatile, who's scoring goals, who's leading your team in goals. You loan him out to sell him, and you buy Tammy Abraham for more money, and then give him fewer minutes than what Daniel Mallon was earning. I don't understand the logic. It seems like another one, and you can't even blame Monchi for this one, by the way.
Nope. Yeah.
It's another one where I don't understand what Unai Emery is looking for, and it feels like it is just continuing to inhibit Aston Villa's ability to score goals. We've only scored 2 more goals in the league this year than West Ham, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's looked at that. Anyway, sorry. I said we would say that and move on.
Yeah.
Some credit to Ollie Watkins. He did. I do remember, I think it was in the first half, sometime earlier in the game, he did get the ball, get down the right wing nicely, and actually play in a nice cross that ultimately didn't reach anybody. but overall, you want more from him, especially coming off a 2-goal performance. Was really
the commentators said it, actually. They said you would expect that someone coming off a 2-goal performance in Europe is going to bang that one home,
Yeah.
And
it speaks to the year that he's having.
Yep.
Man. Yep. It really does. The only other person that I want to talk about, Chris, is Marco Bizot. Obviously gives up the goal near post to Nico Williams. It's a laser, but I guess, do you think he should do better there? And then overall, how are you rating his performance? Because, he has that deflection kick save in the second half. I think other than the goal, did not put a foot wrong. And if not, actually kind of saved Villa's bacon on a number 100%. Of occasions.
So I'm going to give him a lot of credit. Maybe you could say you could do better on the goal, but I don't know. That's a tough ask, because that was an absolute bullet. And maybe he could have gotten to it, maybe. But even still, I think it was, sometimes you just have to tip your cap and say they got better, the better of us on that. I thought, especially considering that he wasn't expecting to play, and he came in, 12 minutes before the game, and they said, "Hey, let's get going. You got to get going. Let's go." Because if it were me, I'd be like, me? Like the guy in that meme, right? Me?
Yep.
So I'll give him credit, because that kick save in the second half, that would have been a Matty Cash own goal, which you wouldn't blame Cash for either, because all he was trying to do was put a foot to it so that it didn't go to a Forest. I forget who it was, a Forest player, to clear it. But that reaction was pretty incredible, really. Because that was a ball that was unintentionally going directly into the bottom corner of the net if he doesn't get to it. So you got to give Bizot credit. He played really well. Nico Williams just hit a great ball, and it went into the net. They're sometimes you're not good enough. Sometimes they're better. That's it.
I will just say, I'm very, very glad that we have Marco Bizot as our backup keeper. I feel very comfortable every time he's stepping in for Emi Martinez this season. As we move to good points, bad points, we talked about McGinn and what an incredible game he had. Mentioned Buendia briefly. I thought he was okay as a super sub. Should have had an assist added to his goal tally there. I think that this is a role that suits him well, and hopefully we get to see him this way a lot moving forward. Also want to mention Amadou Onana, though. I'm reading from AVFC Stato, who tweeted this out earlier today. 90 minutes played, 92% passing accuracy, 1 chance created, 9 defensive contributions, 67 touches, 100% successful dribbles, 6 passes into the final third, 2 tackles, 1, 2 interceptions, 3 recoveries, 7 duels, 1. I remember one of those classic Amadou Onana sliding challenges from behind that he made on, I want to say it was Gibbs White, but maybe it was after Dominguez came in, kind of running like in that left channel to stop and turn and attack the other way. Continued to be great. And what I actually want to give him credit for more than anything is this has been a run where Aston Villa has needed Amadou Onana to stay fit, something that he has not been able to do throughout a variety of his Villa, throughout the rest of his Villa career.
And before that, for the record.
And before that. And he has. He has risen to the challenge. I think that a lot of credit is due to the Villa staff in how they've utilized him and deployed him, for sure. But he's played 90 minutes more often than not over the course of this stretch and has figured out how to maintain his body and be available week in, week out. And so, knock on wood, hope that continues. But I want to give him a shout out, not just for his performance, but honestly what he's doing on and off the pitch to continue to be available for Aston Villa.
I agree with everything you said. I don't think it's a secret, right, to anybody that's listened to this podcast for the last 2 years, that Amadou Onana is one of my favorite players. I love him. I think he's a great player. I think he's a great guy. He seems very smart. He seems very kind, beyond just his footballing ability. But in terms of his ability on the pitch, I still think, because he's 24, the sky is the absolute for this guy. he has the ability to be one of the best defensive midfielders in the Premier League, in my opinion, because he's got the physical tools, he's got the mindset and the intelligence and the footballing intelligence to do it, and his ability with the ball is probably the most underrated thing that people forget about with him, and it's something that I picked up on early, and I'm going to continue to say it. Like I saw him play live in Columbus, Ohio last year, and I immediately saw him cold coming off the bench, picking passes against an informed Columbus Crew team that were playing 9 of 11 starters, I think, in MLS. So
that Columbus Crew team, UK fans, by the way, jump all over me, slide tackle into the DMs. I will back this to the hilt. That Columbus Crew team would have made the playoffs in the championship. That was a great squad.
Yeah.
Great squad.
And they were in form, playing well, and this was Villa's first preseason game. But still, so I saw him playing balls in the midfield that you can just immediately see the vision when he's playing well. You can see what he's trying to do. And I'm not suggesting that he's going to be Yuri Tielemans or anything like that in terms of his ability with line-breaking passes. But when he gets on the ball, he knows what to do with it most of the time. And I really hope and think that this guy's going to continue to grow and be such a great player. And hopefully he stays here at Villa, because I think it's not going to be long before somebody comes calling for him.
The only thing that'll keep someone from calling for him, a Real Madrid, a Bayern, whoever, is going to be health.
Yeah.
Honestly, he's young enough. I agree with you. He's got the skill set, and you look at the ability to defend, to win challenges, that unbelievable sliding tackle that he has, and the ability to play a pass. I mean, that is all you want out of like a double pivot, that 8-side kind of situation. I agree with you, and it's why I said last pod that I think our best midfield is Kamara, Onana with Tielemans in front of them. I really do.
Yeah.
The other reason why is because I think Tielemans then drops deeper, which gives a little more room for Morgan Rogers to operate in between the lines and whatnot. But that's a conversation for another day.
Yep.
Chris, larger implication on the season, unless there's anything else that you want to mention on this one.
Yeah.
As you said, Chelsea came out of the international break, their 7-0 thumping of Port Vale, and they are who we thought they were. To quote Dennis Green, they looked awful in that second half against Man City. Gets smacked 3-0, and so they lose ground on Aston Villa with 6 games remaining. Villa now have a 7-point cushion on Chelsea. Chelsea, as we noted, still have to play Liverpool and United, I believe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'll just read through their fixtures quickly because why not? We've got the time. United next week. Brighton after that, who are coming on nicely, by the way. Leeds in the FA Cup semifinals. Then they play Forest, Liverpool, Spurs, and Sunderland at Sunderland on the final day of the season.
I mean, like, if I'm Chelsea, I'm throwing everything at the FA Cup. Why not? Like, win some silverware,
Yeah,
I guess that's what I would do. But
listen,
you got to age men. Yeah, that's what we're worried about now.
Listen, Chris. At this point, I'm going to say it right now. 7 points in 6 matches. Villa have no excuse if they fall behind Chelsea. Right. I don't care who your last 2 games of the season are against. You should not lose a 7-point cushion with 6 matches to go. Fair
enough. I don't disagree. I think you're right. I think especially the way that Chelsea have been playing. They have been at best up and down all season, right?
Forget how well they're playing. Genuinely, you should not lose 7 points with 6 to go. They should have to win out for you to lose that amount of ground.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel very, maybe it's just drinking this double all the way down that I have, but I feel very firm on that one.
It's just 2 guys sitting around having drinks, talking football. That's all. That's all we are. Yeah, take it to the face. There you go.
Goddamn right. Chris, you have a lovely Chianti in front of you because Aston Villa play Bologna again. Actually, before we get into this one, Chris, side question, because you're showing off your wine now. What wine from Nottingham, England, are you going to drink if Forest advance over Porto in the next round?
Well, so no, oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I'd have to look it up. I don't know if it has to come from Nottingham, because I don't go region specific, right?
That's true. You go country.
I just go country.
So speak to me about the great English vineyards that you plan to pull
I
from.
don't know any. I got some stuff.
Bit of ours may be pretty short lived.
I'll find something. Could I do like an English barley wine? Maybe, it's not exactly a wine; it's a beer, but
it is. Well, it's a wine made of barley, not of grape. Hey, listen, man. I do Stout Day every single year, and Scott and Jeff will tell you, I sneak a barley wine in there because I love a barley wine.
But I don't know. I don't know anything about English wine culture, and
or if it is sold at Total Wine in North Carolina of the United States.
Or anywhere else. I told you, I've got a local shop here in town that I go to quite a bit. That I'm spoiled. I think it'd
be more likely to be a Total Wine than at your local wine.
100% on that one. Yeah. In England, she over here, she can get me anywhere, pretty much anywhere that grapes grow. She can get me. I don't know. Do grapes grow naturally in England? I don't know what they do.
Black Country Villain, we're tapping you in here. Yeah. Please let us know some famous English vineyards that
not even famous. Just let me know where I can get it. Just because
no, we need to know what the most popular vineyards are, so that what to Google to see if you can find it here.
The climate doesn't seem ideal,
conducive,
right? For growing vineyard.
It's wet, but also not cold enough for ice wine or anything like that.
And it's wet, probably too wet, right?
Right. That's my point. Yeah.
And then not warm enough and not cold enough. So you have all those things, right? Other than that, you're great.
All right. Deviation over Bologna.
Yeah.
Listen, we did a preview on how they play last week. The only thing that we didn't cover in that one that I think I should say now is they have traditionally been very bad at home, very good away. So obviously that continued in the loss to Aston Villa 3-1, but that does probably put a little bit more caution into how you approach this from an Aston Villa perspective, right? 3-0. You certainly feel different. We feel a lot better than if it was 2-1.
Sure.
But, 3-1 against a team that plays well at home, doesn't play well away, you probably say, hey, do a heavily rotated squad. Like, just defend for your lives and just kind of get out of there, right? But this is one where I think Villa are actually going to have to show up. This is a team that we know likes to attack away from home and score a lot of goals away from home. And so you can't just rest on your laurels and try to defend for 90 minutes, because I think that that's a recipe for disaster in nearly the vein of what Aston Villa did to PSG last year.
Yeah. So I think you can rotate some, because you're going to have to, because you have a league game on Sunday. But
one that you probably have to win, by the way.
Fair enough. That's a good point. Yes. But I think that from a tactical standpoint, you have to approach it in such a way that you're not deviating all that much from what you usually try to do. And in this case, it's going to be to let them have some of the ball, absorb some of the pressure, but also try and get on the counter very quickly and very early. Because I don't think you're going to be able to control the ball maybe more so at home than you could away, because you're at home. But I think the way that Bologna are going to want to attack, they're going to try to control possession. So if you can maybe let them have possession to some extent and press selectively and effectively, that's going to be your best way out, because you know they're going to press like crazy. And I think that hitting on the counter and scoring early and scoring the first goal, I know I say it all the time, but especially in this contest, if a goal goes in, I want the first goal to be Aston Villa, because that changes the tenor of everything. Everybody relaxes. You're a little bit more free flowing, and Bologna get more desperate, right? So in terms of a lineup, I mean, if Martinez is healthy, he's going to play, right? That's happening. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. I'll go Cash, Konsa, because you're not going to rest him for 2 full weeks. Mm-hmm. Mings, because you're going to need Powell for Sunday. Maatsen, because Dean played today. And then I went Luis Tielemans in the midfield, defensive midfield. Mm-hmm. Rogers, Buendia, Bailey. So heavy rotation there, and Tammy Abraham up top because he played exactly 5 minutes, including added time today. So I think you're going to see some squad rotation, but I still think if you look at that squad on its face, you've got enough players there to be effective and at least hold them off, if not outright win and score another goal, and make this thing a nothing. Make this game a nothing game. So that's my thought. What's yours in terms of the lineup, Alex?
I really like your squad. And I would definitely be okay with that. I'm gonna figure out how to fit Bogart in there, though. As we mentioned,
you would remove Tielemans, wouldn't you?
What?
And play Luis forward, like maybe. Put Luis forward and
yeah, or maybe Bogart, Luis with Tielemans in front of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, well, I guess one thing that I'll differ on is, yes, being at home, you would expect Aston Villa to have more possession. I actually do think, though, that from the start, Bologna is going to start on top. They're going to get the ball. This is a team that we know knows how to possess the ball and play attacking football. And so with them having the pressure on them, I think they will take the impetus from the start. You'll see Aston Villa recede a little bit, and I would actually expect Villa to be under it for the first, let's say, 15 or 20 minutes, but looking for their opportunities to escape. And as you said, I think you're right that Aston Villa will try and hit on the counter and score the goal quickly that way. I'm going to put myself in Unai Emery's shoes. I think that you will have Emi Martinez in goal, assuming that he's healthy. If not, Bisot, who cares? Like I said, I'm fine with Bisot starting this game. Cash, Konsa, Mings, Maatsen. I think you're right across the back line. I'm going to say Bogard and Tielemans in the midfield, but I think there will be a quick hook for Yori as long as Villa kind of maintains this lead going into the second half. And then in front of them, it'll be Morgan Rogers, Emi Buendia, Leon Bailey, and then I think Ollie Watkins is still going to start up top. I think Unai Emery is going to kind of keep getting him confidence, keep getting him goals. But just given their recent injuries, I would love McGinn to get a rest, knowing how crucial he's going to be. I would love Yori to get a rest. I don't know that he will. So, like, ideally, now if you're asking me if Alex is the manager, it would be Bogard Luiz. But I think that'll be a little too heavily rotated for Unai Emery's liking.
That'd be like so 6 changes, wouldn't it? You know?
Yeah, so I think it'll be Bogard, Yori.
Yeah.
With some of the other the players that I mentioned in front of them. And then just knowing that there will probably be, if we can maintain a 2-goal lead heading into the 55th minute, Yori out, Luiz in. And then maybe you use McGinn for the last 20 or something if you need to see it out.
So but then what do you have for a score?
For a score, I have... Honestly, I could see this being a 0-0 draw, but I'll say 1-1. I think both these teams are a little too attacking, and there will be a little too much space for them both not to score.
I have a Chianti again. This one is from Monte Gelfo. I love Chiantis, as we said on the last pod, so we'll see what this one is. Not as fruity as the last one, I can tell you that. Boy, you really don't get the fruit note until the very end, which is odd. Sorry, that's me getting too much into the wine. All right, I've got it at 1-1 Aston Villa wins on aggregate. I have the same scoreline as you.
After all that crap, you couldn't have picked a different scoreline.
I know. It was all just to tease the people. That's all.
Yeah. Okay.
That was actually legitimately the first time I sipped that wine, so that I probably should.
That's actually kind of fun.
Do that, better next time, and have something more prepared.
YouTube shout out to Black Country Villain. Actually noticed that he enjoys writing lyrics and has written some Villa songs. So all your other listeners, go check out his songs. If you want us to broadcast a couple, please send us the lyrics, and we'd be happy to bring them out on the podcast here. So maybe that'd be a new segment. I don't know what to call that yet. We'll figure it out. Anyway,
Singing idiots.
Well, people loved my Gasson song.
They sure did
until he left, but I got a lot of good feedback on that one. So maybe we are lyricists. Black Country Villain, please send them our way. We'll definitely get them in here. Everybody else, we will be back. When are we going to do this? Thursday evening, probably. Yeah. I got some travel.
Thursday evening, America.
Friday Thursday evening, American time. Friday morning, UK time. We will be back with the Bologna recap, talk about what's coming up next in the Europa League, fingers crossed, knock on wood, and then what to expect from Villa welcoming Sunderland to Villa Park next week.
Sounds good to me, buddy.
Chris, until then, as always, my friend, up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
Hi, Mom and Dad.